Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are painting a lighthouse with a bright blue sky and dry grass field. You will see a reference photo and my drawing just at the very beginning of this video. In this tutorial I'm using a bahang paper. This is watercolor paper, 100% cotton, and it's called pressed. I start with a light sketch and I'm doing only a horizon line and a lighthouse. I speeded up the video because you barely can see any lines on my paper because I prefer to keep them very light because I don't want to damage paper. And just to start painting, I need to prepare my paper. So I turn it over and I wet the back of the paper with water. It should absorb water, so it takes 5 to 10 minutes. You can reapply water, so paper should stick to the plastic board. Usually I paint wet on wet. That means that I would wet the back of the paper and the front part of the paper. But this time I decided to paint wet on dry. With this type of painting, when you wet only back of paper, you would still get a lovely result. You will reduce the hard edges on the paper, you can easily correct them, and you would have a longer painting time. I get in 4 colors for my sky. It's cobalt blue, cerulean, alizarin crimson and Naples yellow. When you paint wet on dry, I would advise you just to tilt your painting a little bit. So I'm just basically holding that with my hand, but you can put some books on your table and rest your board on top of it. I'm mixing ultramarine blue and cerulean, maybe slightly adding some red color, that's alizarin crimson. Apply colors from top to the bottom. Try to prepare the paint mix in advance so you have this puddle of the sky color, so you don't have to spend time and mixing it while you're painting. So it should be done like in one go. As you can see, sky got very light, so I need to go back and add more intense color at the top. And when you paint sky, the top part of the sky would be always darker and more saturated in color. The closer to horizon, the lightest the colors. And now I need to reserve some white paper just for a small cloud over there. So I'm just leaving this space unpainted and just paint around it. I'm getting very close to the middle of the sky, and that means that I need to change the color and go a little bit lighter. So I mix in cerulean and I continue to paint with that color. I'm painting around the lighthouse and I'm using the same brush, But if you find it hard, you can switch to a smaller fine brush. And I cover the area just below the roof of the lighthouse because it's transparent and we will see all the sky through. That's why I painted in this area. I add more red color, it's alizarin crimson, and a little bit of yellow. And keep this color mix light because we need a very transparent sky at the bottom. Also, you can paint more clouds, just leave some white spaces on the sky. Closer to the horizon line, the colors would be very diluted and warm, as I can see from the reference photo. So I will add more yellow, that's Naples yellow, and some alizarin crimson, and I will mix it in and I will spread it up a little bit so they all flow into each other. And keep your painting tilt. This is very important. I have a clean water on my brush, so I just soft the edges and let it flow down because I will have a yellow colors in the grass area. Now I'm ready to paint my grass, so I'm taking sap green, Naples yellow, burnt sienna and Van Dyke brown. And I'm mixing these colors like really randomly, so it could be brown with yellow, it could be green with all of the colors. So I can mix green with the dark brown, I can mix green with yellow or with burnt sienna. They all will look nicely. They will make an earth color, the color of the dry grass. When we have this area painted, the paper is still wet and I can go and do some darker shades. So you can mix green together with dark brown, which is burnt umber, and blue, which is cobalt blue. I'm getting a smaller round brush and I will paint grass, so I need to add some texture. I mix in darker brown, which is burnt umber and burnt sienna. You can add some blue or some green. You can keep variety of colors. To get darker color here, so you can add burnt umber and you can add alizarin crimson and a little bit of blue. And I want to add even more texture and very interesting moment right now. So I'm painting with just a pure water. I just dip my brush into the clean water, remove some excess of water, and just paint the same lines what you did before with just a paint. Just to pretend that you are taking this color from the palette. And what happens here is water will push out pigments from the paper, and it will leave a white lines with a lighter color, and you will get more texture when it dries. It won't appear right away, it takes a few moments, and you're gonna see the result of this technique later on, just after we dry this first wash of the painting. And now I'm going to paint a lighthouse. Make sure your frontal side of paper is dry. For the lighthouse, I'm using neutral tint, alizarin crimson, cobalt blue, and burnt sienna. One side of the lighthouse would be darker, it's in the shade, so I'm painting just half of it with a darker color, and then I'll gradually continue to reduce paint, and I finish with just only a water. If you applied too much paint from the right side, you always can remove it by the clean, damp brush. I'm mixing alizarin crimson, cobalt blue and a little bit of neutral tint for the lighthouse. Make sure you soft the edge of the blue color so it has a smooth transition to the light part of the lighthouse. I didn't use the masking fluid for the grasses which cover the lighthouse, so I'm going to paint some lines here at the bottom of the lighthouse just to reserve some white in it. I think I need to make colors darker, so I dried the previous layer of the painting and I keep adding the same colors with the second layer, so they will appear darker. now I'm going to go into details, and I'm going to paint a separate dry grasses, some lines and some texture. And this is the scariest part, especially for beginners, when you have a perfect light, bright sky at this point, and you need to paint a dark lines just at the center of the sky. If you are afraid to paint directly with paints right at the top of the sky, you can practice at a separate sheet of paper, or you can draw tiny lines, nearly transparent lines with the pencil, and then you can paint on top of them. Try to paint these tall lines with a single movement. Don't move with your fingers, but move with your whole arm or wrist. So then you will have a nice straight tiny line, and use a small fine brush for that. Before we move to the next step, I'm using my hairdryer to dry the frontal side of the paper. At this stage you can leave painting as it is, because for me it looks finished and completed, but I decided to add more texture, so I will use eraser brush, a watercolor eraser brush. It's just a brush with a short, very hard bristles. You basically wet the brush and remove some pigments from the paper by scrubbing it. You have to do it very carefully and gently. And then you apply some paper tissue just to remove some paint from it. I almost finished adding details to the grass, and the painting is finished. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you learned something new from this tutorial.